take the title or you do after?
Yeah, we'll do it afterwards. We're rolling. Now, Marcello, ciao.
So,
I would like to hear about your first love.
oh, that's very nice. Okay, my first, let's go back to teenager, young teenager, you know. And I mean, when I was 11 years old, I was with my grandfather's grandmother. So again, now I'm 11 years old. My father finally said, "Oh, Marcello, you have to come home. I want you to stay with your grandparents because for nothing else, but just because you needed to be in the family, no?" So I took a bus, went to a big little village called San Paolo Bersito. Very medieval little town, very little. People knew each other very well. There was an old castle for the Middle Age, kind of ruined, but was still there, very nice looking. And of course, I went there and I started the school now there. The school, you start to make friends. You know, again, I'm 11 years old, and I went to the first year. Then I passed to the second year, and then start to introduce the sport because that school already they have a couple of hours a week sport. It happened to realize that I was pretty good. You know, I started to very fast running, 100 meters, or 100 yards if you prefer, and jumping. I was pretty good. The best year I won all these two category of sport. I was always the number one. Then it comes soccer. So again, now I'm 12, almost 13 years old, and I was playing soccer for fun with my friend, you know. But then a coach for another team that was around there, he says, "Hey," he called me, he says, "I want you in my team." That was the beginning of playing soccer very well. I had lots of fun. I loved my friend because we were really good friends. About 15 people. We are all one for each other. And we had also some girls. The class was mixed. Half more or less girls and half men. But it was a nice camaraderie, nice school. Was the teacher, we loved it. It was very nice. I had lots of fun. But then what happened, unfortunately, that my father was fired, so no job for some reason politically. Not my father politically, but the politician made a rule or something that really ruined all the career of my father. He lost the job.
What did your father do?
He was a supervisor for an electric company. But there was a politics, very simple. This is finally the government at that time. They approved the fact that when you have a job, there must be a reason to get fired, you know. Otherwise, they will not count that way. And then they said that they had to pay all the Medicare, pension, something, but nobody wanted to do it. So the company for my father said, you know, you guys, especially for my father because a much higher salary, he says, we fire you now today, and tomorrow we hire you again. The reason was because now my father was already working there for 7 or 8 years, so accumulated lots of years. So if they left at that date, well, it means that they had to pay the company. They had to pay all the what do you call Medicare, retirement from that year, the year that he started, you know. And he says, no, we fire you, we start you tomorrow. So I don't have it looks like you just got the fired. So anyway, story or no story, my father was commanded in argument, and then finally he lost the job. That was pretty bad because you can imagine a family of 6 children, my father no job, no income. So we had a bad time really. But of course, thanks God, my grandparents, of course, although they were about 15 miles away from where I was now, San Paolo Bersito. They were a pretty good situation. So they helped us with the food all the time, you know, and what else we needed. Well, then what happened, that me and my brother, Mimo, is dead unfortunately now, but we were going to San Giuseppe, so my grandpa had to pick up food, bread, everything. And we had with each one had a bicycle, so sometimes we did a competition who was coming faster, or it was fun too. But what I want to talk with you about my first love, it was something very romantic in one end, but very innocent too. Because in San Paulo Presidio, we started to know a nice family, and we became a good, the two family became very close to each other. And they had a girl, her name was Nunziatina. And being together, playing here, playing there, both all of a sudden we felt something different. Again, now I'm 14 years old probably. I'm sure that every person, one time on time, has this kind of little, what do you call it, earthquake stuff. The heart, a little earthquake, in the sense that we realize we fall in love, we love each other. We hug, but it was so innocent, so nice to have a girl that we always got together. But nothing happened at all except for one time that I kissed her right there on the front. But then I didn't know what to do. I was both of us were very shy. We love each other. We knew that. So that was a good time. But unfortunately, later on, our friend family, they left San Giuseppe, San Paolo. And he retired, and the father retired in Amalfi, which is a beautiful coastline down close to Naples, Sorrento. So I lost my love. Not lost in the sense of, but because they left far away. There was probably about 3 hours of drive or so. And so we started to write to each other. But that was a kind of not enough, we want to see each other, you can imagine, but it wasn't possible. So all of a sudden, what I criticized this aspect of my life, I was very real, very practical. You say, why you don't like that? Because again, you do have some feelings. Then I start to make why, how, and what. So it was a very cool in one sense, I read, but I realized that if I stayed with her, means that when I was going in the Air Force, that was shortly after that, probably we didn't see each other for years. And before we got even married, we through 7, 8 years. So I said, it will not work, not work. Although again, my heart was still for her. So that's exactly what happened. Then I wrote her a letter. I said, listen, Nunziatina, I love you so much, but we can't see each other ever because we don't have the. Now I'll be in the Air Force. I will go probably 1,000 miles away, so we don't see ever each other. Plus, before we got married, it became more tragic because God knows where they send me, And so 27 years of waiting, I don't think we can do that without seeing each other more than maybe once a year or even less. So I wrote to her this letter. In one end was logical, but was so cold, right? So I wrote her a letter. I told her, I said, listen, it's not that I don't like you, but I love you. But so she wrote me a letter and says, if you don't love me, be with me, I kill myself. Oh, that's become a big shock. I don't know what to do. So I wrote another letter. I said, we think about this. Then when she calmed down a little bit, as much as I could see from the letters. But she said, okay, I tell you something. I will not marry anybody till you come, even after 7 years. Okay, that's fine. If think we can do it, we will try. But of course, that was a dream, nothing else, because in reality, that's what happened. That I went in the Air Force, I did the academy, they sent me all the way north of Italy, and she's the south, you know, like let's say like San Francisco, San Diego. So at that time there was not much transportation, there was not much way of traveling. It was in 1950 or something like that, so it was very cool. So even today, when I talk now with it, there is still a little bit of what you call love or good remembering. It's still an emotional feeling, it's still there, but doesn't mean that I don't love any or so. So that's sort of it is. I was in the Air Force, and I saw her one time because I had to leave from the Air Force, so I came home, and then the family over in Sabina told my parents, "Oh, Marcello, Marcellino, can he come here for maybe 3-4 days, stay for us? We like him very much." Okay, so I went, no, and I still saw her again, but I never realized. I realized later that basically they didn't like that she was getting married, baby, with that pastor. He was a pastor, by the way. And so she said, if Marcello comes up and says, "I want you back," I will go right away. I don't care with who I am. So that's what happened. Then I went to the Air Force, and that's when I say again, one time I was on leave. And one time the family, you know, they did a kind of a tricky. They said to her, you know, "Go with Marcello to the beach and do sing a tag for us, please." I realized later on that was a combination. They would let us catch alone together and maybe resolve but I didn't really, honestly, I didn't understand that. Later on, I understood that. But so I went back home, and all of a sudden I felt so guilty, and I didn't like it, but I did. So I said, okay, if she still want me, I write it. So I told my sister, I am writing a letter to Serena, because they were good friends. Can you send to her when I'm gone? And she said, no, I'm not going to do, because you are right. God knows where you are and what you do. So that was the end of. He was there for a few years, still right in my heart. But no, that's exactly what happened later on. 5 or 6 years later, I fall in love with my former wife. So that was it. That was my first love.
Oh, and where is she now?
I don't even know. She's probably older like me. If she's not even dead, I don't know. I lost completely, because even my sister didn't have contact with them anymore, because again, you're so far away. Those things change. But we say in Italy, the heart, you don't, you then, what do you say? You don't, the heart doesn't give you what to do. You know? You're in love, you're in love. So that's it.
Oh, beautiful.